Thank you for joining us during this live webinar. We are going to be covering three major areas in Boulevard 2022, and that's preferences, invoices, and inventory, which also includes the product list. Anytime you install a new version of Boulevard, it's always good to go into preferences to make any adjustments to settings, and when new features are included, a lot of times the settings for those new features are also found in preferences. So we're going to specifically first talk about the business info tab. Now, to get to preferences, you can go to the edit menu and choose preferences. And you can also access it from the main toolbar in the business group. Now, with the business info, the area that has a change is in the print on tax reports here. Now, this area is not new to Boulevard 2022. However, the business name information will now also be used as the payee name if you have Boulevard set to automatically create an expense entry when you receive an inventory order into your program. And the next area that had changes would be from the Invoice tab. And this is where you customize your invoice, the things that you want to be visible on your customer invoices. And you'll click on the Customize tab, and none of this information has changed. The images are all the same, but what we have done is if you click on the Note tab, you can now add profile field information in the note section of the customer's invoice, and you can access that from the merge field button. And there's all these different fields that will populate when you create an invoice for that customer. And the next area that has changed, and this is specific to Canada only, is the tax on shipping or tax on Section 2. And this will be visible under this tax tab for Canadians only. And the next area that has changed is the backup tab. Now, we all know how important it is to be taking backups of your software in the event that your computer does crash. You always want to make sure that you have a current backup. Now, you can take manual backups as well as automatic backups. And those automatic backups are what occur when you close Boulevard. And you can choose to back up to anywhere you'd like. Now, the default is under Documents and in a Boulevard folder, which is on your hard drive, or new to Boulevard 2022, if you have a Gmail account or a Google account, you also have access to your own personal Google Drive, and that is cloud-based, and it allows you to back up to your Google Drive. It's very easy to set up. You would just choose Google Drive, then Settings, and you're going to enter your Gmail address, and then click Verify. What that's going to do is pop up a sign-in page for your Google account. Now, if you're already signed in, you just want to select your account. If you're not signed in, you'd want to enter your Google Gmail credentials, the password and email. And then this section here, this page, will tell you what you're allowing Boulevard to do for you, which is storing the backup, Boulevard backup, to your Google Drive, as well as sending email on your behalf. Now, you're authorizing for both, but you don't necessarily have to use either. So if you want to just do your backups but not email or vice versa, that's okay. You would still click Allow, and then you'd go ahead and close the web page and click OK on those settings. Now it's set to back up to your Google Drive. Now that leads me into the Online Sync tab. The changes that we've made to the Online Sync tab is the outgoing email settings. Now, again, if you want to use Boulevard's internal email feature and you have a Gmail account, you would click Gmail. And if you've already set up the backup, then all you have to do is put in your email address, your Gmail email address, click verify, and this time it's going to pop up immediately that it was configured successfully, and you're all set. Now, if you use another email address but still want to use Boulevard's email function, for example, if you use AOL or Comcast or some other email from your internet provider, then you would want to choose the other option and fill in your internet provider's mail settings once that populates. Now, if you don't want to use Boulevard's internal email feature and you use a desktop client such as Outlook or Windows Mail, something like that, and you just want it to launch from Boulevard, then this is the option that you would choose, desktop client. Now, going back to the signature, we've added a button that allows you to access the signature right from that main front screen. And this is specific to using Boulevard's email feature. If you use Outlook or one of the others that launches from Boulevard, you'd want to set up your signature in those programs. But this is for Boulevard. And that is it regarding preferences. And once you have all of those set, now you know that you have all of your settings set for the current version. And before I close preferences, it's a good thing to note, I know that we cover it on most webinars, but it is important that you have your My Account credentials set and that you check them every now and again if you change your email address or password on your Main Street account, because this is what connects your Boulevard program with your Main Street account and also ensures that you continue to receive your product updates if you're on the product update service or the available software releases. So anytime we post a service release or a software release, if this box is checked and your credentials are correct, you'll automatically be prompted to receive those releases. Okay, so moving on, the next area, which is probably the biggest change besides adding the Google features, is the redesign of the invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new invoice. The buttons that used to run along the right-hand side of the invoice have now all been moved to the top for easy access, quick visual. You can see everything right at the top. The other thing that has changed is that you'll notice there is a dotted line around the description field, and that means that that field has the focus. So what that does is that as soon as you launch the invoice, you can begin typing part of the part number of a product, or you can type a partial description of the product and it's automatically going to be focused on that field. So you can quickly add products to the customer's invoice. Now, if you're looking for what they've purchased in the past, you can choose the lookup button, and that will bring up the lookup form that hasn't changed at all and pull products that they have purchased in the past just by double clicking and adding it to their invoice. You can also look at all the products from the product list as well by clicking on the Products tab. And again, just double click to add it to the invoice. Now, we've also put the discount column, we've moved it over to the left, as well as the product is for. Now, if you've never used the product is for feature, it's a great feature. It allows you to assign a product that is being paid for by one person, but is going to be put in the history for another person. So, for example, if Wanda Carney is purchasing this light to medium CC cream for Kristen Atkins, This product will then show in Kristen Atkins' product profile. And at the bottom of the invoice, we've put the discount information right on the details page so that you can quickly see the different discount types that are available if you want to assign a special discount type, creating a new discount, custom discount type, or assigning the amount of discount percentage on the entire invoice or a flat dollar amount as well. So it's all right in front. Now, the note section has changed as well. It used to be a button and now it's a tab, so you can quickly access it. Now remember, we updated the custom note in preferences and added the personalized field information for the name and the email address. So when the invoice populates, it will fill that information in. Now, if you notice, there's nothing here. That means that she doesn't have an email address. So that will let you know that maybe you want to change this sentence to let her know that you don't have her email address, or you can just remove it. You can also add profile information directly from the Note tab as well. And the next tab that has changed is the Wasp tab, and this tab now allows you to group any invoice sale type together. So for example, if you had a class and you wanted to group it together, but one of the invoices needed to be shipped directly from the company, you could group that direct ship invoice with the class as well. So it allows you all different types of groupings, no matter what the invoice sale type is. And you choose from the pick list, you can search who you want to assign the invoice host. Now, if it's not a host of a class, but maybe an event instead, such as a customer appreciation sale, what we recommend is that you create a contact profile for this customer appreciation sale, and then it'll allow you to connect it to that profile. The other good thing about creating a contact profile for these other events is that it allows you to also track any other additional information about the event. You can track it under the contact log, under the notes tab. All of that information can be stored for future reference. This we're not going to assign to the customer appreciation sale. We're just going to keep it with Wanda and go back. You can mark the payments, how it was paid. And when you're ready to save the invoice, if you want to email it or print, you would select either checkbox or both, and then go ahead and click save. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't need to actually print it, but you would select the checkbox of the option that you want and then click save. Now let's take a look at the weekly accomplishment sheet so we can see how a grouped invoice looks. You can access your weekly accomplishment sheet by going to the Wasp button on the main toolbar, or by going to the Business Tools menu and choose My Wasp. Now you'll notice that I already have a grouped sale, and your Boulevard program won't have this quite yet. We're actually posting this service release right after the webinar, and it's another new feature that we are adding, which is a button that allows you to visually see when you have grouped invoices. So I can see here that I have multiple orders that are connected to Lana, and I can click the button and it's going to show me all of the invoices associated with that event or class. Now I'm going to go ahead and close the weekly accomplishment sheet, and let's talk a little bit about direct ship invoices. We get this question asked quite a bit, importing them. Now you don't want to import them like a regular inventory order. You actually want to create the customer invoice and import it into the customer invoice. And that's where this button comes in. So you'll want to look at the specific directions out on our help center to get information about how to import a direct ship invoice. When you do that, Boulevard's automatically going to create an inventory order for you, and you'll see it in your inventory orders. And it's not going to add any product, but it will add the dollar total, so you'll have that for tax purposes and production purposes as well. One of the new things with direct ship invoices, though, is that you can actually edit a direct ship invoice. So if you've created a direct ship invoice, and let's just take a look at Lana Kirby, we just created one for her, and say you forgot to put some information on her direct ship invoice and you want to adjust it or make a change to it. What you would do is open her profile, and you can either right click and choose edit or double click, and Boulevard's going to prompt you, letting you know that it is a direct ship invoice and that you can't add or change payments from the invoice, but you can edit it. And if you need to change items on the invoice, then that's where you would need to reverse the invoice and create it as new. Now, going back to the payments, the reason why you don't want to apply a payment to an invoice that has already been created is, for example, if a customer purchases from you on a Monday, but they don't pay you until Thursday, you don't want to edit that original invoice and post the payment, because then that shows that they paid on Monday. You would actually want to post it to their profile as a payment so that you can accurately record when the payment was made. So let's go ahead and edit this invoice and see the fields that we can change. So maybe I need to change the date. I can do that. I can change the discount type. I can adjust the note, any of the shipping, delivery information, product order information, as well as any information on the Wasp tab. Those fields can all be adjusted and edited on direct ship invoices now. And that now takes us to the invoice log. The invoice log used to be called sales transactions, and you can either access it by going to the business tools menu and choose invoice log, or from the main toolbar, you can click invoices. We've added an additional filter, which is the invoice number, so you can quickly select the invoice that you are looking for. All of these filters can be used together or pick and choose and customize this to find the information that you are looking for. One thing to note based on the handout is that you can print individual invoices if you're selecting the checkbox, and then you'd click the printer button and choose print, and that's going to bring up individual invoices. Or if you're looking at a report, you want a tabular report. If you leave the checkboxes unchecked when you click print, it will print it as a tabular report. Now, the great thing about this area as well is that you can add additional columns. If you click the column chooser button and then select column chooser, these are all the available fields that you can drag and drop onto the invoice log to customize as another report. And when you go to print, those additional fields will be included as well. And let's go ahead and close that. Now that leads us into inventory orders. Now I know that everybody is aware that there's been a lot of changes with how importing works, and we've had to evolve and adjust, and we'll continue to do that to ensure that you are able to import your orders. There's two methods to importing into Boulevard. If you live in the US and Canada, you can use the automatic method. Or if you want to use the manual copy-paste method, that is also available for US, Canada, and the United Kingdom. So we have an option for all countries. What you would do is click the import button, and then you would choose the date range. Now you can import up to 1 month at a time. And the reason why we've shortened the amount is because Boulevard has to go off and access your InTouch after you've entered your credentials, go to the correct page, and access the appropriate orders. And there can be a hiccup in between that amount of time going back and forth. And so we've shortened the amount of time so that it helps prevent those hiccups. Now, if you go to import and you're expecting an order that's not appearing when you do the import, you can always click the drop down button on the delete and choose reset imports to allow you to re-import your order. So we're going to go ahead and choose the date range button and import an order. Now, once you do that, it's going to prompt you to enter your consultant number and your password. And you'll click Login. Now, this process takes about 3 minutes when it's going out, logging in, getting to the correct page, sorting through all of your orders to actually import the ones that are within that date range. Now, again, it's not going to import direct ship orders, and it's also not going to import replacement product orders. Those are handled separately. And for instructions on handling replacement product orders, or again, even the direct ship orders, please visit our support center website or reach out to us and we can direct you to those instructions. Now, once it's finished, any orders that were placed during that time frame will appear, and you'd go ahead and click OK. And it will import the order. Now, the order import log will appear if any items were not found, and you want to make sure that you take a look at this, because if there's any section 1 items that are included, you'll want to print it to make sure that you either add those to the order using the part number that Boulevard has, or check to ensure that you have all of your product updates loaded. And if you're not sure if you're missing any product updates, you can always reach out to us and we can help you figure that out. Now, this is a section 2 item, so it doesn't matter and I don't need to worry about it. So I can go ahead and close it. One of the new changes with Boulevard 2022 is the bottom section of the order. And you can see the breakdown of the order directly on this main bottom half, as well as this section totals. And then the discount will automatically be pre-filled here if you have your default discount set. Now, if you don't have it set, if it shows up as 0, you can make that change here in this field. And then for future orders, you can set your default. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and show you where you can change it. On the main inventory order screen, if I click the settings button, this is where you would enter your default discount that you typically receive when placing an order. Now, we've also added an update all button. And what that is for orders that you've already received into your inventory. So if their status says received, if you have any where the retail and the wholesale are the same amount, so the default discount was not applied, you can go ahead and click update all, and Boulevard will apply this default discount to all of your current on-hand amounts. So it's rare that you would need this, but it's available there for you, and that is new to Boulevard 2022. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this. Now, the second option, and again, this is for US, Canada, as well as UK, is the ability to manually import an order. You may want to manually import an order if, for example, you have placed an order, but it's going in care of or being shipped to a different address than what is your address of record on file with the company. And this allows you to manually import it. So you'll want to take a look at the directions specific to your country, because depending on your country, the page that you import from is different. But once you get to that page, you'll do the same Control A, Control C that you may be used to. If you've been with us for a long time, you remember this. And then you'll go into your order, you're creating a new order, and you're going to click this import button. And then the items will import. Again, if it's a section 2 freebie item, those like insert cards, things like that, that shows up on the import log. You don't have to worry about it. It's only the section 1 items that need to be added to your order. So let's go ahead and close that. Now, one thing to note when you're manually importing is that it does not update the date or the description. So you'd want to take a look and make sure that you go ahead and put in your correct order date. And you can change the description. Now I've already set my default discount, so that's correct. And if your order totals match with what the website says or your packing slip, then you're good to go. And you can go ahead and click save. And when you actually receive the order, you can finish the process by placing and receiving it. And I'm going to go ahead and there's 2 options. You can right click and choose placed, and then yes. Select it again to actually receive it into my inventory. And receive all, and then click OK. Now I did a right click method that time, but I can also use the toolbar button. So if I select the order and choose status and placed, then yes, select the order again, received, show that receive all, and then click OK. Either option works and can be used. And that is it when it comes to importing inventory orders. I'm going to go ahead and close this screen and let's go ahead and move on to the product list changes. The changes that have been made to the product list are specific to the inventory view, and you can select that from the drop-down menu underneath View. And now with Boulevard 2022, you can adjust the on-hand amount as well as the ideal amount from the inventory view. You'll want to make sure that you have your default discount set up before you make these adjustments to your product list, because Boulevard uses that default discount percent that you set to factor and calculate what your cost of goods wholesale value for each item is. And you can also utilize these sidebar filters when you're printing your inventory list out. If you only want to print certain categories, groups, product line, whether you want to include closeout items or not, all of these filters can be used to change your printing preferences and what you want to see on screen. Then the next change is to the worksheet view. We've added the retail field by default to this view. And what we've also done is ensured that the archive product is not included and that only section 1 by default is included. So you can make changes. For example, if you've been using Boulevard for a really long time, you probably have a lot of products in your last chance closeout items category. You can actually move those, and there's specific instructions. I'm not going to go into the specifics during this webinar, but there's instructions that will walk you through moving in blocks multiple products to the archived product category. And then what that does is it allows you to keep the history, but doesn't include it when you're printing reports and filtering, so that you can shorten your inventory worksheet so it's not quite so long. And that'll help reduce the pages. Now, you may notice that my product list has alternating colors. That isn't new, but you can make that change if you want your product list to have alternating colors by going into the settings and just select the alternate rows along with the additional options as far as if you don't want to track section 2 and if you don't want to track deluxe minis or customer premiums as well. Okay, so we're finished with the product list. And then lastly is accessing help. We have several different ways for you to access help, and specifically if it's after hours or you need help and want to know the steps on how to do something in your program, go to the help menu and then select help. And what that's going to do is launch a web page with our online help center. And this allows you to type in just a few words of what you're trying to do in Boulevard. Now, there's over 400 articles, so I know there's a lot of information out there. Many of the articles have real quick videos along with them, so you can visually see what the steps are in the article. But if you're not sure or you need additional help, there's always the submit a request button that you can select, and that will send us a message that we will promptly return. The other option is if you go back to Boulevard, is clicking what's new. Now, when you click what's new, that's going to let you know and take you to the section that talks about all the new features included in that version. So it's a great place to start to know what's changed with the new version, along with what's changed in the different service releases that get posted. And then lastly, we would just want to thank you for being customers and loyal Boulevard users. We've been around for almost 30 years and are excited for the future and continuing to serve you and help you succeed in your business. And if you have any questions or need help with your software, please know that we're here to help and want to be partnered with you in watching the success in your business. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go ahead and open it up for questions.